Let's go live to Melbourne now. The re-elected member for Goldstein, Tim Wilson, joins us this morning. Congratulations to you. What do you put this overall win down to, Tim Wilson?
Thanks, Laura. I put this down to the incredible human effort of Scott Morrison, the Prime Minister, who has done a magnificent job, a steely determination to hold the blowtorch to Bill Shorten around his tax agenda and what it means, what it would have meant for Australians. I know so many people who came up to the polling booths on me on Saturday and said, we are terrified about the consequences of a change of government and the type of government Bill Shorten wants to lead. That's clearly been shown now in the results.
Was there a message there as well, do you think, in your part of the world on the issue of climate change? We know that Tony Abbott lost the seat of Warringah. There were some swings in Melbourne, but nothing like some people had been expecting.
Well, people, quite rightly, including the people of Goldstein voters, want to know that the Australian government is taking the challenge of climate change seriously. They want us to reduce our emissions, but they also don't want us to leave people behind. And that was fundamentally the difference between the choices at the election. You had Labor saying, we are going to cut emissions at all cost and we don't care what the human impact is, whether pensioners can't afford to pay their electricity bills or whether workers are put out of jobs. And we said, we're going to cut our emissions, we're going to meet our Paris targets, we're going to deliver reduction in emissions, but we're not going to leave people behind. And that's the basis in which we're going to go forward. And I think it's the right one, because if you don't, if you leave people behind, eventually there's pushback rather than taking the whole of Australia forward together.
So what does this mean, that you're going to not change anything of your current policy settings and perhaps you'll stop talking about it so much within your party?
Not at all. I mean, this is a critical issue where the job of a successful Liberal government is to confront challenges and to go straight to the heart and deal with them. But we have to make sure that people can stand on their own 2 feet, people can afford to pay their power bills, people can make sure that they're having a minimal environmental footprint, and we're working as part of an international community. And that's what we're doing. We are going to deliver on our commitment to reduce emissions, but we are not going to leave Australians behind.
When you look at the message about the quiet Australians and that focus that the Prime Minister had so effectively, what do you put that down to? Is it a range of issues? One of the matters that Laura and I have discussed in the last few days is his very strong commitment to defend religious freedom, which I personally think is going to resonate with a lot of people, a lot of those quiet Australians that he talks about.
Well, this election was about respect. The Labor Party didn't respect Australian workers, Australian taxpayers, people who had jobs, and the government did. The government turned around and said, and as the Prime Minister said often, you want to have a go, we'll give you a go. We're going to back you every step of the way. We're going to reduce your tax burden. We know the strength of this country comes from individuals, families and communities, not Canberra bureaucrats. And that's what we delivered, and that was the choice. And that includes respecting people's freedom of conscience, the freedom to choose how to live their life, the freedom of people who have faith to have their faith and to not feel bullied or intimidated, but also the freedom of things like same-sex couples to marry. This is the Liberal agenda: respect of citizens and how they live their life, and the freedom to choose how to live their life delivered en masse.
What kind of mandate do you have in your view? Because essentially it is just scraping over the line. Even though you weren't expected to win, you're just out of minority government, it looks like. So do you have a big, bold agenda, or is it just tax cuts and a few other things?
Well, the agenda is to confront the challenges that this nation faces. So we're trying to make sure that we ease the tax burden on average Aussies so they can get on with their lives. Because, again, we respect the fact that the strength of this country comes from individuals, families and communities, not big Canberra bureaucrats and bureaucracies. And so we are absolutely going to deliver on our tax agenda, but we're also going to confront the challenges that emerge throughout the term to make sure that we drive Australia forward. We're going to have sensible, incremental reforms that build the strength of this nation, not attack Australians.
Is it in large part that people, in your view, in the Liberal view, want you just to manage the economy, protect the borders, and then, other than that, keep your head down, basically?
People want us to secure the borders, strengthen Australia, make sure the economy is run well, but confront the challenges they emerge. So we've already talked about how we need to confront the challenges of the environment. We can, we have, we will. The same is also true around the economy. And the other critical point is we want to focus on uniting society. The Prime Minister has always talked about the sense and the importance of national unity and a sense of Australians being respected for who they are. We delivered that in the last term. We'll continue to deliver that. But yes, we do completely understand that Australians want to get on with their lives and they don't want to be told how to run their lives by people in Canberra.
Is there any part of the Labor platform you think your party should adopt?
I've got to say, I haven't turned to the Labor Party platform and suggested...
I mean, I think, for example...
I was running for the other team.
Yes, I know. But the cancer announcement, which was really popular in the budget reply, now that you're on the other side of the election...
But Laura, respectfully, this is all just rubbish. Respectfully, all of those things we were already delivering on. Labor picked up components of it and took things the government was already doing and then said, we are going to somehow make this our crusade and our mission. While most people were scratching their heads saying, I got an MRI last week because I'm a cancer patient and I already got that medication, already got that assistance. In fact, the reason they got it was because we did exactly what we said we would do, which is build a strong economy so people were paying tax so we could fund these sorts of essential services. So most of Labor's big, bold promises or reform agenda was either rubbish or designed to attack Australians and not respect how they live their lives.
Tim Wilson, we've heard from Joel Fitzgibbon this morning, who's calling for his party to return to the centre and focus on the working class base of that party. It's an interesting take. He says he's not ruling out running for leader either if one of the leaders doesn't commit to return to the centre and to their working class base. Was that the vulnerability that you see in terms of their approach to this election?
Well, a key part of their approach to this election was that they wanted to attack Australians. They want to attack their hip pockets. If you worked in industries that created wealth or grew wealth of the nation, whether it be mining, whether it be agriculture, the position of the Labor Party was you were dispensable. And they turned their backs on ordinary people who are critical to the success of the nation. So do I think that would be a sensible thing for them to do? Yeah, I think that's pretty sensible. When you're not standing up for your people and standing up for the type of country we want to be, understandably, the voters are going to reject you, and they absolutely rejected the Labor Party on Saturday night.
Tim Wilson, thanks so much for your time.